Hey, happy Sunday morning, everyone. Today we're taking another look at our worm bin. This one, a quick update from where we left it 2 weeks ago, is actually came back in and added some watermelon a couple of days after our last feeding. So we gave them a bunch extra. So the watermelon we put in there is not even 2 weeks old. It's less than a week and a half. So we'll see how they did from the rind for a full watermelon in less than a week and a half. So we have that to look forward to. As always, I feed on one end, I harvest on the other end, and it's peak garden season. So I'm gonna start by pulling some out, and just good nutrition for my garden. I don't feed on this side, so there's hardly any worms in here, so I can easily pull some off the top. I basically keep going down until I start seeing worms, and boom, I've got a whole bin full of worm castings ready for the garden. There might be one or two worms in here, but I got plenty of worms in my bin. Next step is, as always, I kind of just fluff everything up so I can check on the worms, see how they're doing, move any of the stuff that needs a little bit more time to decompose all the way over to this side, and I can also add more oxygen into the system. Looks like this one I've been doing a pretty good job on harvesting the castings out of, because there's hardly any completed castings in here, which is great. They're going where they're supposed to and not getting stuck in here. Alright, I'm going to stack up the completed ones as much as possible. This helps them dry out a little bit, which is another thing that the worms don't like, so another reason for them to kind of leave. But it looks like I might not be harvesting this one a lot more in the future because there's not a lot in here. Ooh. Yeah, so this is sort of, I'm already kind of getting to where I fed them last week. So, whew, which is why you're seeing all these worms, because they like to be where the food is. So this one might go a lot quicker just because I've been so good about pulling out all the completed castings. So I'm going to take this middle zone where the food is like mostly broken down, and I'm going to move it over to the far end. You can see there's still a good amount of bedding in there. You can see the green from the cardboard we chopped up. So I'm just going to spread it out a little bit. And then let's take a look at where we fed the watermelon. Let's see if we can find any. I'm not. They love watermelon rinds. It's so full of water. They just go right through it. I'm not. I'm seeing a lot of worms. Not seeing any watermelon. Wow, look at that. Like, all I can see here is just worms. They really like the watermelon. Yeah. So I got a lot of worms in here, and they seem to be pretty hungry. I was worried that there'd be a whole lot left over. I am not seeing that. So today I'm going to add in a great deal of bedding. Whew. My bin is like half worms at this point. I've never had it like this before. And so it is. It's just worms in here. There's not a whole lot else. So I'm worried they don't have enough bedding here. So I'm gonna add in a great deal of cardboard. Bedding is great. It's not only a nice thing for them to live in, but it's also, ooh, and it also is, it's actually a little stinky in here. It's probably because of the watermelon added so much water into the system that it made it hard for the air to get down. which is another reason why I want to add a great deal of bedding. So it's serving two purposes here. Or three really. It's a nice place for them to live. It'll keep them happy. It's the first purpose. It'll soak up the extra moisture from adding all that watermelon is the second purpose. And it's like, they'll eat the cardboard too. So it's an emergency food source so that they always have at least something to eat. So that's its third purpose. Yeah, this is like sopping wet, which is too wet, which is why I'm getting, it's like the stinky sewer-ish smell, which I am not a huge fan of. Wow, this bin is like really more than 50% worms at this site. So we need to add a lot of cardboard. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna add as much cardboard as I can reasonably fit in here today. All right, so here comes the cardboard. All right, I'm gonna start with this much, and then I'll probably add a little bit more later on. I'm just mixing it in with the current worms just so that they can get, it can start getting moisture in it, and as well as like the bacteria in the castings will get inoculated into all the bedding, because the worms really eat the bacteria that's breaking stuff down, and so it'll make it easier for them to eat it, and it in addition to it'll help pull out the moisture. Okay, so now that I got that added in, I'm gonna add in my eggshells and my coffee grounds from the week. Here are the eggshells. These just are a little bit of aggregate, help them digest their food. They have gizzards like birds, so they need this. And some of my coffee grounds. And then I'm just gonna break each of these up so it's that much easier for them to get at. These are high nitrogen, great for fertilizer, and great food source for the worms. I get those added in. It's just a good base level of calories for my worms that I add in every week. And then lastly goes in the clippings for the week. I had a couple cucumbers that, got away from me, a little bit hidden, so they weren't really good to eat. But then just some extra celery stalks, a few other things. This should be a good amount of food. Of course, I said the same thing last week, and it was all gone. So we'll see how they handle this. All right, get it all mixed in so it's easy. So the giant my worm population has easy access to everything. Let me get a little bit more bedding in here. Just because I added more moisture in with those clippings just now than I even had before. So I just want to make sure I'm correcting the issues I'm seeing in the bin this week. So, I had a different issue than I expected. I was worried that they would be overfed. There'd be a bunch of leftover like food that was starting to rot. That was very much not what the case is, which is why I like going in here and with my hands and actually checking on it. So, so I was able to diagnose what the actual issue was in terms of too much moisture. I was able to go in and rectify it by adding in a bunch more of the shredded cardboard bedding. And I was able to get this bin back on track. So this week we tried a new, slightly more zoomed out angle. Let me know what you guys think. And I will see you in 2 weeks when we check on this bin again and see if we solved our moisture issue.